Morning, everyone. Day 41. Countdown begins. Good work. For sure, good work. We're going to continue with this concept of the leaf metaphor, but pretty much what we're trying to do in these last sessions is you just got to feel it. Right? So put that in your head. You just have to feel and be able to feel when mindfulness has arisen, right? And I think the interesting bit is when the experience of mindfulness arises and you're sitting there in your practice and you acknowledge that something changed. Um, from this, John Kabat-Zinn extracted the 9 attitudes of mindfulness, things like patience and trust and letting go and gratitude and beginner's mind. And if you apply all of that to memory, those 9 attitudes fit very easily into this experience. But what I wanted to highlight is that the experience of mindfulness, just sort of a way of thinking about it, that experience, that aha moment, that finally I'm here with the present moment, non-judgmentally on purpose, it has nothing to really do with the present moment, right? You'll notice that your ears were always listening to, say, the birds outside. You were hearing them. Your body was always feeling, whether it was, the soreness in your muscles or the relaxation in your muscles. Your body was feeling. Your organism was connected. What you felt or what you feel in this moment, this arising moment of presence, is the diffusion of thoughts, right? And for this, acceptance and commitment therapy, which is, more, it has a lot to do with mindfulness. It comes from the same sort of theoretical space. What they coin this process as isn't mindfulness, but cognitive diffusion, the unhooking from our thoughts. So what you are feeling, just again to rationalize, is the dissolve of thinking. And so let's get back into this metaphor, a leaf on the river. The value of the metaphor, and I think we fixated on it, well enough yesterday. The metaphor itself is only a tool to help you reshape your thinking if you happen to be caught in thought, right? So you're replacing one sort of thought, maybe your errands or your to-dos, which might pull you into more thinking, with another sort of thought that in its nature might lead you into cognitive diffusion or lead you into the dissolve of thought. And so the yogis actually have a metaphor for these sorts of thoughts versus those sorts of thoughts. And so the thoughts that support your practice, support this diffusion of thinking, are like fire sticks. And so you set up a little campfire, you set up the pyramid of tinder and wood, and then you have to manage the fire. You have to manage the burn pattern. And then what you're managing the sticks with, the burning embers and the sticks with, is another stick. And at the end of the night, when you're ready to put the fire out, you take that tool, the stick, and you throw it into the fire as well, and you're left with nothing. And so this fire stick is the metaphor of a leaf on the river. It is a thought. And mindfulness is about, one, embracing thoughts, but realizing that it's more about the moment. And so the thought is then used to diffuse other thoughts, like the fire stick itself. If this makes sense. Cool. Sweet. So we're going to work with this. Simply said, you have to feel it. You have to feel this moment of mindfulness. And using that metaphor of a leaf on the river, you need to relax into the moment that is already with you. One really simple way of doing this is embracing reality's aesthetic experience. Hear. Really hear what you hear. Listen. What does the bird sound like? What does the ceiling fan actually sound like? Feel your body. What does your shirt actually feel like? What are the patterns of weight and folds and texture and temperature? If you dive into that aesthetic experience, you will find the mind has quieted and the moment will present itself more freely. Cool. And that's really good for us. Bottom line. All right, everyone. Here we go. 25 minutes. Day 41. And so if you can feel that you're doing something, This is good. This is your agency. You understand the game. You understand how to play it. Whether it's through slowing your breath, through relaxing your muscles, through focusing your mind, through opening your ears. So this is about familiarizing yourself with the now, befriending this ultimate companion. And so at this point of the challenge, you must feel when you have connected. You must feel when you have stepped forward mentally. And that feeling of mindfulness, that feeling of the now is in fact a diffusion. It is an intentional dissolve of thought that is instigated through embrace, instigated through presence. So be here by first immersing yourself in aesthetic details, any and all. Let your mind, like the happy bumblebee, hover from flower to flower, hover from sensation to sensation, sound to sound. And as this bumblebee of cognition starts to pick up on all the details of your now, that is your river. Relax into that experience. Some thoughts, especially when they are present and emotionally charged, pull you away from presence. They entangle us. And then we forget that thoughts themselves are part of the now, drifting in the same river as everything else. Other thoughts remind us of presence, like this metaphor, a leaf on the river. Feel this moment as a river. Understand everything is just drifting by. In that, let everything go. The more you can relax, the more our thoughts diffuse, and the more clear this moment becomes. A moment that was always here. Feel it, let it go. Feel it. The now. Feel yourself choosing to be mindful. The way you can feel stepping onto wet grass with bare feet immediately. Feel the openness of presence immediately. The flow of it. There is a peace. There is a satisfaction, a sense that this is right, that this is a means to balance. But this moment is always here. What you are experiencing is not the now, but the diffusion of mind. What you are feeling is the letting go of thought. And then what was always before us is felt. The river is felt. From within presence, notice patience. Notice trust. Notice a willingness to let go. Notice non-striving. Notice a personal sense of confidence. Notice a euphoria in the body. And notice a heightened sense of connection to yourself and to your reality. This river is many things: a metaphor for life, a description of a state of mind, but it can also be applied to the physiological effect of presence. The river of neurochemicals that you have triggered intentionally to adjust your perspective and recalibrate to a different position within life. One more breath in, one more breath out. With an inhale, open your eyes. Good work, everyone. So again, the last 5 days, you just got to feel it. You have to feel what it's like to be mindful. You have to, be sensitive to that transition from non-presence to presence. And in that sensitivity, you are facilitating your ability to control it. Even as I talk right now, if you just sort of open into your eyes, open into your ears, open into the aesthetic experience, you might find that river that is always there, that we lose sight of because we get lost in thought, comes to the surface of your recognition. Like, really, do it now. It's like, okay, I can operate and listen and interact, but also be mindful at the same time. And if you're actually participating with this little post exercise, you should find it's like, oh, this would take a lot of brain power to listen, for me to speak, but at the same time be open to the river, open to the current of experience around me. But that's not to say it's impossible. Our formal practice is a place where we can actually infuse this into our sort of baseline. And you'll find, and I think a lot of you are finding, that because of our discussions, because of our time together, and only because of that, mindfulness is sort of sprouting up throughout your day. And this is the goal. But again, to highlight, it's just little sprouts that are sprouting up right now. If we want this to be sort of a field of mindfulness for ourselves, we really have to practice a lot. So this can only be the beginning if that is the goal. All right, cheers. Y'all have a beautiful one. See you tomorrow. More feeling, and enjoy yourselves.